The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here he is, Brandon.
Welcome to the Brandon Peters Show and the first installment in our The Horrors of Val Lewton retrospective. And joining me for the entirety of this odyssey, programmer Chicago TARDIS, Red, White, and Who author, and also author of Silent Scream, which you can pick up, Stephen Warren Hill.
Good morning.
Morning. You never know when people are listening. Happy 2028. Person who found the fun with podcasts. How are you, Stephen?
I'm doing fairly well. I'm not going to complain. I'm doing better than the world is doing. How's
better
that?
than the world? Yes. Better than the world. So following our Andrei Tarkovsky retrospective, you brought this idea to the table, a wonderful idea, not a director, writer, or actor, but a producer retrospective, and one with such a, like Tarkovsky, a limited but effective inspirational catalog. Mm-hmm. So do you want to tell us why you wanted to go with Val Lewton, what he means to you a bit?
Well, so primarily these are some of my favorite movies, and he absolutely excelled for a while at making the most of what he had to work with, which was a very limited budget, just limited everything, limited resources in every possible way. And these movies made money like crazy, at least, diminishing returns later, but at least at first, wow. And kind of rightfully so. I mean, we're starting off with Cat People, the first of the series of productions, and I would say it's probably the best known of them, but it's not the best, in my opinion. It's not the best.
Right.
So, but so why, that's one question. Why is it the best known if it's not the best? And I think that was just sort of lingering, even now lingering from 1942 being such a surprise success at the time. It's still in people's consciousness as a classic horror film. And it had a remake in 1982, as you're aware, which helped keep it in the public mind, I suppose. Val Lewton, I think he just got it. He knew exactly the right way to do these movies. And even now when we see them, we know they're special. We know that there's something different about them, especially when you compare them to Universal monster movies of the 40s.
Right.
I think The Mummy's Hand is playing on my TV over there, slightly out of sight. And The Mummy's Hand, it's a great movie, but it is so different from Cat People. He's going for atmosphere, and effectiveness, memorable moments, and succeeding beyond imagination. How does that sum it up?
That's fine. That's good. And to piggyback off some of your stuff, like a person who I'm hoping can join us for at least one of these, my pal colleague Yancey Burns, has always said that at the time he came out, Val Lewton was making horror movies for adults. That's compared to what was in the horror realm at the time. And he was sort of I would say a Jason Blum of his day, like that, the original one where he was in the realm of horror and stuff. He was approached by the studio to make low budget horror films, not the big budget ones. And but his were not so low budget as to be some of these like crazier, really cheap ones that you'd see with like, people in costume, whatever, and just trying to
Hmm.
make a couple bucks. And he elevated everything. A guy who made a lot with his resources, the few resources he had. He made, these movies look. You would never guess that these were cheap films at the time by looking
Yeah.
at them. And he was a person been around in film. And stuff. And he was approached. He worked in RKO, those classic days, and was approached by the producers to do all this stuff. And he garnered a little team. And he had a very this movie we're going to be talking about today, Cat People, was a very Canon Films experience. Where like, here's the title, make a movie based off this.
Yeah. Right.
Like we don't, and they had cat people, and they tried to do best, and he had a fear of cats, and they did research on historic things with cats and tried to make the best movie they could with what they had. I mean, they're reusing sets from the Magnificent Ambersons. Yes. And there was another movie too, and the funny thing is they also had the editor from Magnificent Ambersons, and because of the studio grade of the movie, the editor felt he was being punished for working
Mhm.
on Magnificent Ambersons because he felt like everybody working with um, Orson Welles was getting on that movie was getting a punishment for it, and that he had to edit Cat People as a result. But not so much. But these movies, Cat People becomes this huge hit because it costs so much. So it probably at some time was in the record books for most profitable movie.
Yeah, it could have
Um,
been.
could have been. They were. There's a lot of like debate over how much it made, but the idea is it at least made big time profits and greenlit even more of these movies. I think
Mhm.
how many he did, like how many movies in total?
Oh,
Is
I
it
wish I.
14 or is it?
I mean, if you're so even that's debatable. Like if you were just talking about the horror movies,
Hmm.
you know, I like to include Apache Drums,
Yeah,
which is not an RKO film, and it's most people don't consider it a horror film, but I like to include it because I think it is.
yeah,
But he made other movies after all of those movies too.
yeah.
So, like officially, I don't know what the answer is, so I'm going to
He
count.
he, li- he was he died very young too, so that's why his
Oh
run
God,
is so short.
40,
47, something like that.
47,
Yeah,
46 he died.
46. Okay, so
It's
just
just, whoa. I'm 59 and I'm like, how the, well, so he produced 14 movies. Of them, only, let's say, four of them were not horror films,
yeah,
five if you count Apache Drums not as a horror film. So that's, and they're all, even the ones, Youth Runs Wild, My Own True Love, Please Believe Me, and arguably Mademoiselle Fifi. Um, those are the ones that are less
yeah.
memorable, less well known too,
Hmm.
But what a run he had
Yeah,
uh, of movies, and all of them really, really good in their own ways.
yeah.
And we're going to look at them all. That's
Right.
what
Very
I'm
stylish, very,
excited.
very, uh, launch pad for many, like very inspirational. Um, like the movies we're going to be talking about through the series, just to give everyone a heads up, you can do their homework if they want. We'll be talking Cat People, but we'll also be talking I Walked with a Zombie, The Leopard Man, The Seventh Victim, The Ghost Ship, The Curse of the Cat People, The Body Snatcher, Isle of the Dead, Bedlam, and Apache Drums. And all of them, except for, I believe, Apache Drums, are available either on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray or standard Blu-ray. I think Apache Drums has a DVD that might be out of print, but
Yeah, I have a
if
I
you look
have a
if you look on
Blu-ray
YouTube,
from France, I think.
okay, if you look on YouTube, you might be able to watch Apache Drums. I'm just saying, you
I've
might be
also
able.
got I should save this, but I've got a 16 millimeter film print of Apache drums.
Oh,
It's
okay.
in, it's in black and white, which, the movie's actually in color. My
Hmm.
print is black and white, but I don't have a lot of 16 millimeter
Yeah.
full complete film prints, but that's one that I do have.
Gotcha. And not since DVD, there's not been a box set for a full Val Lewton collection, which I feel
Yeah.
like that's something Criterion could do or somebody, but who
Yeah.
knows?
For a long time, as I think you're probably aware, we were waiting for I Walked with a Zombie and Seventh Victim
Hmm.
because Warner wasn't putting those out on Blu-ray. And where are they? Where are they? Because it was rumored that Criterion had them, and they finally put those out. Thankfully on 4K.
Right.
So I was very, very happy about that. They paired them together in one single release, which I'm okay with, I suppose.
Well, yeah. Because Warner Archive put Bedlam and the Ghost Ship together as well. I'm okay with double feature things like that as long as it fits together a lot when I'm organized. Because I do have in the way I organize my shelves with my Blu-rays and stuff is I do certain directors I make they have their own section. Like for example, all my Wes Anderson movies are together. All my Paul Thomas Anderson movies are together, and then sometimes I have Humphrey Bogart movies all together because I those are people I think I'm like, oh, psht, there's not a lot of this is a franchise movie. It gets kind of
Yeah.
messy with that, but there's a lot of um, directors I like or certain performers or something like that can go to like Abbott and Costello going together, the Marx Brothers. I put
Mhm.
those all together like they're a franchise of their own. But that's kind of how I have my stuff together. And when you have a double feature and they're both from the same director, it's like I'd like them to be in sequential order, but her release order. But okay, fine.
And it might be worth mentioning if for those who were buying physical media in the Laserdisc days,
Hmm.
there was a Val Lewton box set of all of his RKO horror films that came out on Laserdisc, and that was a very, very. I think it might have retailed for like 179.95. I
Okay.
certainly bought it, and I still have it. And I already had earlier Laserdisc copies of a lot of the movies that came out from Image
Hmm.
uh, in very, very plain, no extras, no nothing. So there has been a box set, and they also put out a box set on DVD later with the Val Lewton documentary that is now also on the Cat People Criterion Blu-ray.
Hmm.
There's quite a legacy of home video releases and collections, complete collections. But right now, you're right. We don't have a complete Blu-ray collection from one publisher.
Yeah. We need Cat People on 4K Criterion. You put that one out way back in the day. We could use a
Mm-hmm.
new one. Just
Yeah.
saying. But yeah. There's also one other note. So some people, I don't want to say younger horror fans because the movie is now 26 years old, but Val Lewton got some love in Final Destination. They named one of the teacher that survives the plane crash with them is Val Lewton. She is named after
Okay.
him because all the characters are named after notable horror people. There's a last name Hitchcock. There's Shrek. There's Browning. So they're going very classical with that, but kind of a neat touch with which back in the day, like at me in that year, I didn't discover Val Lewton until a little later, but I wouldn't over my head in
Yeah.
2000 when that movie came out. But Val Lewton is pretty well known, and I hope to keep his name going because this is a very important person in horror history for sure, if not film history. But there's a lot to be said here and a lot to take from a career, and notable that a producer can have an altruistic touch on things, not just
Yeah.
directors and writers and such. But uh, Cat People, that's our first one, 1942.
Across the centuries comes this exciting story of a modern girl cursed by an ancient legend. The legend of the cat people. Women whose kiss means death, whose love turns them into vicious, snarling beasts of prey.
Twice I've been followed by something that was not human, something that attempted to take my life. I believe that was the cat form of Irena.
Why should she wish to harm you?
Because I'm in love with her husband. It's shut, Val. Just a minute ago, it was open.
It's locked. Leave us, Irena.
Directed by Jacques Tourneur, written by DeWitt Bodine, and starring Simone Simon, Tim Conway, Kent Smith, Jane Randolph, and Jack Holt. It's about an American man. An American man marries a Serbian immigrant who fears that she will turn into the cat person of her homeland's fables if they are intimate together. Funny note here is the male lead is named Oliver Reed, which is always funny to see like a major star as a character name in something before they became a major star.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, Stephen, if you want to start us off on cat people.
Okay. So a little bit of personal history with this movie. I first saw it in 1984.
Mhm.
I was graduating high school that year and already collecting movies by videotaping them off of television, and keeping, saving them
Yeah.
so that I could rewatch them. So I've seen Cat People now 8 times, and for a while, I mean, I don't want to say it was the easiest movie to get a hold of. I remember a lot of the times the Prince, when it would get shown on television, and I'm not talking cable television, just talking local channels. It was usually a television print of the film, so instead of RKO Radio Pictures at the top of the title screen, it'll say CNC Television Corporation.
Oh.
And I had a lot of those early, my early videotapes of the Val Lewton movies. A lot of them were like that. Other than that, there's no change, but they stamped their own name at the top of the titles just to say, "Hey, this is our print."
Yeah, we did. So when I was at doing quality control back in the day in Burbank, California, we did a secret job for Harvey Weinstein. He acquired a print and stuff of El Cid, which is his favorite movie, and he wanted a version for his home on DVD that had the Weinstein Company logo in front of it, just so he could have a version of his own movie. Like, it wasn't for sale, wasn't anything. It just had the Weinstein Company logo in front of it, and so he could have a version that he could say like that had his company name on it. But
it's interesting.
I wonder how that guy's doing now. Wonder if they show it his version in whatever cell he's sitting on. But yeah.
So I would say that the first time or the first times that I saw Cat People, I probably didn't really fully grasp what was going on in the movie. And I was old in 1984. I was old enough to get, the obvious stuff, but not to maybe think it through, right? All surface thoughts. Like, okay, she won't kiss him, she won't be intimate with him, she won't have sex with him, and that's because she's convinced she will turn into a cat and kill him. And you realize, okay, I get it. It's an allegory for, the fear of intimacy. It's a psychological thing. And at the same time, there were movies probably not quite as many in the 40s, but they certainly existed. And then into the 50s that were coded homosexual stories where the men couldn't consummate the marriage with the wife because they were secretly gay, but that doesn't actually come up in the movie at all. So there's this turned version of the same idea. That's not what's happening here, but it's the same source. It's the same base complaint from the character. When he meets her very early in the movie, they are both very, very comfortable with each other right away. So comfortable that he walks her without asking. He walks her back to her apartment, not too far away from the zoo. They meet in the zoo. And she asks him inside to have a cup of tea. Very, very, very forward for a woman, a single woman in the 1940s, to just come on inside. Wow. That's the first, like, okay, wow. And admittedly, Kent Smith is very likable. And he kind of, I'm going to have a lot to say about his character when we get to Curse of the Cat People. Oh, boy. But he remains likable in this movie, even though we eventually realize he's got a hell of a lot of problems too. He presents, his outward presentation is the nicest, most understanding, most caring, most patient guy, but he's also got a bit of a jerk inside him. And that comes out slowly. It comes out a lot more in Curse of the Cat People, but that's for another week. And so this movie, there's a lot to analyze. The main characters, and of course we get Dr. Judd, who is an analyst, who I don't know how professional is not the word, but I don't think his thoughts and his style of analysis is effective in this case. Obviously, he doesn't believe a word of her, what she says.
Well, and he's also kind of like trying to please people with stuff rather than doing his own analysis. He's trying to just like side with somebody and steer it in a way rather than actually diving in, I would say.
Yeah, that's actually a good way of putting it. And
he's the defense lawyer. Like he probably thinks the guy did the crime, but I got to defend the, you know.
Yeah. It's populist analysis. It's not really scientific in any way, and it's just to give her an answer. And typical, no, you tell me. What should I do? What do you think you should do? Oh, that's really helpful. Thanks.
Yeah.
But we also have Dr. Judd, even though he gets killed in this movie, show up in a later unrelated movie. His character shows
next
up
week.
Oh wow, yeah.
Or next episode, yeah.
It's also the side characters that are very interesting. Alice is probably the most interesting of them all because she becomes the complication in their life. And you kind of, when the movie starts and he meets, Oliver meets Irena, and they're clearly attracted to each other from the start. But then you see the scenes where he's in his office with Alice. You kind of wonder to yourself, why he gets you feel like the same attraction between Alice and Oliver,
Mm-hmm.
and you wonder why they weren't together in the first place. And yeah, that comes out. It becomes an important factor in the movie, and that once again changes the whole makeup of the intimacy problem that they have. Now they don't have a believable they don't at first have a believable identifiable source of the problem. She says it's because I'm going to turn into a cat and kill you. But he doesn't buy that at first, you know. But then when Alice becomes a true complication, now she's the identifiable source of conflict. And it leads to him saying, I think I should give you a divorce. And then he goes and consults Dr. Judd again for which
Yeah,
why
for
is he
the
doing that?
Dr. Judd's like, look, we called her crazy, but you ain't gonna get her a divorce, or we could annul.
Yeah.
Like, why was the crazy even a like, if you just
Yeah.
get it annulled, then just
Yeah.
get it annulled.
Whoa. And especially when we get to the movie Bedlam, we go, no, let's not admit people into insane asylums quite so easily. Um, um, so I guess really what I'm sort of rehashing the plot and
Yeah.
just the surface, right? But what I'm getting at is there's a lot to look at and to analyze and to think about the different ways this story could have gone
Mm-hmm.
and how it was constructed along the way to make it into a horror picture. To me, so talk. I'll go ahead.
There's a lot of, I mean, what I think under the surface of this is there's a lot of like relationship and sexual politics going on with this whole movie, which is just meaty as hell. Because I think with Oliver, we start out with a meet cute type thing with this woman, and then through meeting Alice and learning other things, we can see that Oliver is a guy that he won't commit to Alice because he's one, still at this point always looking over for something better around the corner. He meets a woman who's like cute and quirky and different, and has this weird thing that attracts him along the way. But ultimately, I think he thinks with Irina is that this is I can be the dominant person in the relationship with this easy. Alice is a career woman. She's set. She knows what she's not afraid to tell him, yo, I know you're getting married or married, but I have this thing. She's very confident in herself, and that scares Oliver. He doesn't know what he wants, and he gets into this relationship with Irina, which he thinks he can control and be dominant, and she'll do what he wants, submissive, but she will not give in to him, and she doesn't like. It's about her worrying about turning into a cat people or possibly being a descendant from these people, but also certainly with Oliver, he sees it as she doesn't fully commit to me or trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe she doesn't trust him. And we can see he's easy to live. He doesn't want to work through problems. He's like, you have problems. You go talk to the psychiatrist. And that's where it's coming in. And then when, Alice also comes in, but her confidence at the time in his life, she is just now a way to make his life easier because she's got it all laid out for him and he can just fall into it rather than he's learned that maybe I'm not good at control. I do like my relationship with Alice, I guess. I don't think he settles so much, but then it's weird because he in this movie, from the perspective of the film, it feels like we watch him become an adult while she remains a child and hasn't hit adulthood yet. So we get to this thing with Alice and Oliver where they go out to that museum or whatever that one day, and it feels like two parents taking a kid out.
Yeah.
And she feels really out of place. And then it feels like they are trying to bully her into this craziness and everything. And that's where I don't think Alice is a contributor to it, but she certainly doesn't stop or, slightly goes along with the things that are happening to Irina. So they insert the trio of the Irina, or not Irina, but Alice, Oliver, and Dr. Judd become villains here in trying to trap the tiger, the bobcat or whatever she could be. Like they're trying to tame her into a cage to do their bidding when all she wants is help. She wants someone to be along with this journey to believe her, and nobody will except the tiger at the zoo, I guess, or the zoo panther at the zoo or whatever. But she also, she finds her jealousy. She goes into where she stalks Alice multiple times, like because it's either I don't know if she wants to kill her or she needs to learn from her because she is opened a door to Oliver she can't or she hasn't been able to.
Mm-hmm.
So she takes interest in her with that. But that's kind of what I see going on under the surface here with cat people. That's very interesting. And then you get to, I mean, I didn't get I wanted to really bad watch the remake of it again. I've seen it a couple times, but I feel like this movie is Hitchcock and the remake is De Palma. Like, that's kind of how, and I can see the attractiveness in the material. The Paul Schrader, coming off hardcore, he's very into. Paul Schrader is one who is very interested and intrigued with like conservatism and like the morality thing of people and their sexual nature and stuff. And I'm like, this is right there for him watching cat people. Again. This is the kind like he's like we need to open this door and there's some of the suspenseful horror of the day. There's the locked door at the back and you wonder what's in it, and then some horror movies like open that door, and he's opening that door here with the sexual stuff with his cat people, which his cat people is more of it's more of a vibe and a musical and like visual experience than it is because there's a lot of people that hate his cat people. I don't know where I'm really conflicted where I fall with his cat people, but I think it's a fascinating watch regardless. But
it's okay.
Huh?
It's okay.
Yeah. It's better than a lot of misfires from people, I would say.
Right.
It still interests me. I still return to it every once in a while, being like, okay. But this one, it's really there for that movie to further explore when it goes down. But under the surface here, it's all there. They're just in an era where they got to be careful about it or clever in certain ways. I mean, a lot, they get away with a lot from.
They do.
Back here.
So the if I remember right, the Paul Schrader film also throws incest into the mix.
Yeah, there's like a brother character they add to it.
So
with Malcolm McDowell.
Gives it an interesting new layer of complexity, right?
Yeah.
But Oliver behaves abominably to Irena in that museum scene. That I mean, you with today's sensibilities, you just did he really just say, "Oh no, you're bored. Go ahead, go away." and then he only gets worse in Curse of the Cat.
Well, yeah, this is some sort of male wish fulfillment fantasy type thing, and it's kind of like that relationship where a person will date a person. It's like, oh yeah, I collect Pokemon cards. Oh, that's neat. And then you get in the relationship married and hope, and that person secretly hoping the Pokemon card collecting goes away, but it doesn't. And they're mad because that's the type of thing I think Oliver's looking at here, where he's like, okay, this is just this is a phase. It'll go, and it's like, no, that's who this person is, and you don't. Right, it's not just it's not the icebreaker. It's it's literally who the person is. Like, you got to take if the person collects model replicas of Star Trek ships, you should assume and hope that there's still that person collecting the model replicas of Star Trek ships when you're in the relationship, or they move on from it on their own. You can't hope that goes away or change. That person looking for the standard boring life, but going for the very artistic person, like, and trying to tame them down to be this urban, just get up, go to work, do the lawn, The lawn sucks, okay? It's never going to be awesome. But collecting stuff, being into art, creating art is always going to be fun and exciting. So the lawn will be the same every time you mow it.
Yeah, or worse.
Or some lawn enthusiast is going to come on and be like, listen, sir, my landscaping is an art. I said mowing the lawn, not landscaping. I get you. Some of you, that is an art in itself. Sure. I'm going to landscaping different. I said mowing, which is just a tool and aspect. So just like I write on homework, I don't consider it art. But if I write and draw and write books, yes, there's art. There you go. Sorry, landscapers.
One of the things that we haven't talked about because we really haven't quite gotten that far yet, but it's very, very important is the movie, up to a point, the movie makes it so that we don't know if Irena is truthful. No, I mean, if she actually is a cat person as defined in this movie. Because obviously it's supernatural and people don't change into monsters. So we immediately think she's just telling him a story. And for a lot of the first encounters, we don't see direct evidence that it is happening, but we do see indirect evidence. The shredded bathrobe, the tree swaying after the bus sequence, and eventually we do see a cat. And the movie does go right out and say, yeah, she's turned into a cat. We don't see a transformation on screen,
right?
But we see a big cat, and the movie is saying, yes, she is a cat person. So, but it doesn't really. I mean, that's the finest, I think, segment of the movie is when she's Irena is stalking Alice in those couple of scenes, and we still don't know if it's all bull or not. And then it comes rapidly to a conclusion at the end. The bus scene where Alice decides to walk home from, was that after the museum? I think maybe.
Yeah, because he's well, no, it's there's a dinner that she catches Oliver and Oliver and Alice are having dinner, and Irena spots him from the window, and he offers to walk Alice home, and she's like, "I'm an adult woman, I can do this myself."
Yes.
Yeah.
The phrase "the bus scene" or
the Lewton bus.
The Lewton bus, right? Yeah, that rightfully earned its nickname as he introduced this shock scare, a scene that slowly builds tension and reaches a point where you expect the audience to be at the edge of their seat, and then you jolt them. And a lot of times it's very similar to, but not quite the same as the jump scare in movies today that you get. Usually through sound. In this case, the tension is built up to a moment, and then the screech of a bus's brakes.
Yeah.
As the bus pulls up right next to her. We haven't heard the bus approaching. We haven't heard any other sound. So it's a bit of a cheat, as many of those jump scares are. But that rightfully became known as the Lewton bus, and we do get examples of, as we go through the rest of the Lewton movies, we'll pick
it
those
becomes a thing that they're like, okay, people like that, we're going to do this. But it's funny that through film history after this, a common thing used as a scare like this is a cat jumping out of a closet or a cat found behind a door. It's kind of funny that would happen. But yeah, the Lewton bus thing is terrific, and it feels that it's something that younger people going back can see but not appreciate. This was the first. Like, this is when it happened. This is when it became a thing, and it's kind of funny. I wanted to backpedal a bit to your talking about the transformation and stuff, and this is like one of the earliest entries in the "Is She Crazy" movies, where someone's trying to convince everyone, but no one believes. Like, Rosemary's Baby becomes like the most infamous of that later on with that. And for a lot of the movie, even in some of the earlier Panther cat scenes, like, you could be like, oh, this is how she's envisioning herself doing this. It's not till the very end where you get the hard confirmation that, yes, what you were watching was completely real. So it's done in a nice way. And I like it. It's done, like, obviously don't have the money for a transformation or to try to do that or do a person in a costume or try to fit something. They're very low budget, low resource and doing what they can, and I think it works with whatever they have and the way they do it. Seeing
Yeah,
less.
let's not forget that Lon Chaney Jr. in The Wolfman,
Mhm.
he doesn't turn into a wolf, a
Right.
four-legged wolf. He turns into a man with makeup.
Right. Yeah.
And they couldn't have done that. They couldn't have shot the scenes with the leopard without show. If they were going to show a transformation, they'd have to figure out a way to have her transform completely physically into a smaller four-legged animal. Yeah, that just wouldn't work. So don't even bother. Skip
Yeah.
it. You
Yeah.
put it all in the imagination, and the more that Val Lewton could put in the viewer's imagination, the better off he was, and he proved it in all of his movies.
Well, yeah, there's little touch. I mean, we talked about the light and shadow here. Perfect. That pool scene.
Oh,
That pool
beautiful.
scene is iconic for a reason. And when they made the remake of Cat People, they're like, we just really wanted to. We know that's an important thing, but like, we just wanted to replicate what they did. We didn't want to try to take it anywhere further. We didn't want to try to do anything else. The Net O'Toole in the pool scene is basically tried to give the feel of this one rather than trying to up it or try to best it. They're like, we just wanted to be equal with it. We did not want to try to do that. And one of my favorite moments is when they all storm out. When Alice and Oliver leave her in that study room and it's dark and she turns to the couch and she takes her hand down the cushion and you see the scratch marks come down. I'm like, that's tremendous. And I don't know pre Blu-ray how well that stuck out, but with restoration. But now it's genuine. It's got a good contrast with the darkness of the room and stuff, and it's like one of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen. It's perfect. She just goes right down there, and I don't know if they put something in her fingers to do it or it was there and it just needed disturbed when she did that. But it's perfection.
Yeah.
And yeah.
There's a couple of things that I noticed this time, my eighth time watching the movie, that I don't know if it ever registered on me before. The first is an early scene right after they're celebrating having gotten married. They are at a restaurant called the Belgrade. Irena is Serbian. Belgrade is the capital of Serbia, and there's some lines of dialogue. It says, "I didn't know there was a Serbian restaurant in town." And Alice says something like, "Yeah, I know all the secret places." So Alice actually suggested the restaurant. And then at the end of that scene, Elizabeth Russell is sitting in the same room in the restaurant and watching Irena. And then that's when she gets up and addresses her, says Moja Sestra, and Irena freezes and has this terrified look on her face. And you wonder what's going on. Elizabeth Russell seems to have recognized her, but that's all she says. And then she leaves. We never see her again.
Yeah.
But Irena is very clearly disturbed by it. And Oliver asks her what she said, and she said, "She called me sister." Oh, okay. So she's one of those cat people. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing that why I puzzle about why I never realized it was a Serbian restaurant before is what in normal circumstances. So Irena's mind is really obsessed with the idea that she's a cat person. So that's really the answer here. But my question is, why, if you're in a Serbian restaurant and you're Serbian and another Serbian woman comes up and addresses you as sister, why would you think that's weird? Most people I think would go, "Hi, how you doing? You're Serbian too? Yeah, it's good to see you." Oh no, she just freaks out and gets this stone-faced, "Oh my God, I'm terrified" look. And it's a little bit irrational.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
There's another take on this too, where, because Alice knew the place, right? She's probably heard the story of her being Oliver's probably shared with her about the cat person stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
if she's interested in Oliver and wants to shake things up, she just pays this woman to go over and say that to freak her out.
That's a good one.
And
I
that's
like
why the woman never comes back, never has.
it.
And she's the pulling the strings from behind the scenes to try to drive her into madness.
I like that. Yeah.
But yeah, nothing
Another
ever comes back with that woman, which is
right.
odd.
Yeah, exactly. I like the other thing that I didn't realize, and I still don't know the answer. You might be able to share your opinion on this. The pool scene.
Hmm.
Alice walks into her building and asks desk, the woman at the desk, for the key to the pool.
Hmm.
And she says, "Yep, okay." She gives her the key. And the woman tells Alice to turn off the light when she's done. We cut. I think then we cut to seeing Irena walking out of her apartment. We know she's going to go there, or we suspect, and we find out that she does.
Hmm.
But when my puzzlement here is, has Alice already been for her swim, and she's now, when we get back to her in the pool, is she now on her way back out again, or has she not had her swim yet? I always assumed she just got down there and
Hmm.
she was about to go into the swimming pool for the first time when she hears these growls and she jumps into the pool
Yeah.
for protection, right? But watching it this time, I thought, no, because we see her, she's in her bathing suit.
Hmm.
She's already got her bathrobe on. She turns out the light just like she promised she
Hmm.
would turn out the light when she was about to leave. I think she's already had her swim. I know this is irrelevant, but I
Yeah.
think she's already had her swim and is leaving, and then hears the growls and panics and jumps back into the pool. I know it's not important plot wise, but it kind of subtly changes the way you see that scene, and then
Yeah.
you wonder, was there any titillation intended in the scene in the swimming pool, because we get to see a beautiful woman in a bathing suit in the 40s, where the slightest bit of skin would set a man off, right?
Well,
Um,
Paul Schrader thinks so because they uses that with the, as a kid, you got to see Annette O'Toole topless
yeah,
because
right,
that
right.
scene got people. So obviously, Paul Schrader thought so.
So it almost makes you wonder, if she's already been in the pool, why didn't we have even a 30-second scene with her just swimming? Because then you get more skin in the movie.
Hmm.
Um, I know it's, again, not important, but it made me wonder how closely I've paid attention to this
Right.
movie. But I honestly, sometimes it takes turning on subtitles, to, like, maybe there's tangled bits of dialogue. Simone's got a pretty strong accent, so
Yeah.
maybe it means that I just never understood what was being said in the restaurant scene. Oh, I didn't know there was a Serbian restaurant. I never read the name. You only know the name of the restaurant because it's painted on the glass
Right.
window. Um, Maybe I never paid much attention to it. Maybe I couldn't read it. I don't know, and it makes me wonder. Um, so I'm going to be, when you watch a movie, it's okay. There's a big difference between watching a movie with the intent to analyze it and talk about it in
Right.
depth than just sitting down and enjoying a
Yeah.
movie. So I realize and understand that this is a different level of viewing. But I'm anxious to find out if I'm going to discover anything with the other movies that I have not
For
noticed
sure.
before.
Yeah, and it's neat. It's interesting paying attention to the order of events in which she gets into the pool, playing a factor because the light off is a key. But maybe she likes swimming in the dark. I don't know.
Mm.
Or she's like, I'm gonna forget on my way out, so I'll turn them off now. It won't matter. I'm alone at the pool. I don't know. But your order of events
And
does.
actually, yeah, I mean, you just made me realize that it may not have been important plot wise, but it's important lighting wise, because they wanted her to be in the pool in the dark,
Yeah.
where that's why they made a deal about turning off the light. And that's why she's already finished her swim. Otherwise, the lights would be on. Oh, wow. I just figured it out. Thank you for your help on that.
You know what? Also too, what if they get to the editing room and like, okay, we have her leaving the pool. We don't have her getting to the pool. And they're like, well, what if we use the leaving to the pool as her getting to the pool? And then we just, it's more important to have her, like, we don't need to see her leave. She can just stay in the pool. Like maybe it was an editing
Yeah,
room thing. Like,
could be. Yeah.
because this is so far back, records don't exist, interviews don't exist. They don't tell, the stuff we have from back then is a lot of like press clips, and when you're selling the movie, not talking about the problems of the movie. Granted, we know from history that Simone was a issue on this set. Apparently, she did not get along with people, had some problems. She apparently poured coffee on an outfit just to delay shooting. And yeah, so you never know. And Val Lewton himself does not appear in moving image ever, or no audio clips to know his voice. There is only still imagery and few of that of Val Lewton. So he's a person that is pre-time, he's luckier than someone in the Old West who never got a photograph taken of them, but he's barely present in any kind of media stuff for that. There are, there's written, maybe he's misquoted on things we don't know, but that's all that exists of him. But like stories about, the editing and stuff of this movie, like, yeah, there's we know about the bus scene, but that's a pinnacle positive of it. We don't know the toughness of the editing or what challenges came through. So that's the thing with these movies. They're forever a mystery until we get a time machine and we can go back and look or go see it at, like, I tell you, I got this wave of nostalgia for something I never lived through or whatever. But I was doing research for this. There's a picture of the Rialto Theater in New York done up for this premiere with all these like faces of cat, like people with cat eyes and stuff, and like cat people, and like come see it. And I'm like, the showmanship, don't even have to be William Castle type showmanship, but the showmanship of selling, or showpersonship of selling your movie to people like that. Like I miss, the multiplex gave us the opportunity to see, selling out movies, sold out shows weren't a bad thing. We could see there's multiple choices of movies, great, But I remember when I was growing up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, we had this two theater, the Holiday 1 and the Holiday 2, and there were these big old movie hall screens, and they would do, whatever, one movie's playing there. So one movie's playing on the other, and they would do up the lobby and stuff like that. I remember when I went and saw Wes Craven's New Nightmare, they had like a mannequin dressed like Freddy, and they painted on the window Freddy's back and had all this stuff in there, and that was like really cool. Like lobby cards, that was a thing. They don't do lobby cards. They haven't done lobby cards forever, but like when I saw like Batman in '89, they had stuff in the lobby, and they just don't. Everybody's got a generic cardboard standee. Yeah. There's the poster. I do like, even though I don't buy them, I love the popcorn bucket thing, even though they're dumb and stuff. That's something to, get people in the theaters, like the cups and stuff. Like I don't buy into those, and I don't know how you'd eat popcorn out of you're getting like a cup of popcorn because the little back of the head pulls out. Like, okay, but I think it's silly, but I think it's something fun to add to the theater going experience. I just missed the like the display, the unique display per movie coming out and stuff. But like this cat people display, I was just like, oh man, I was looking at pictures. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like how long did that take? Like how long did they have to prepare? That's huge. Like they didn't have the printing like technologies and stuff like we have now that could have got that stuff done. But it's unless you're living in Los Angeles or New York and getting a fancy premiere parade or something like that. Like a guest of the show, Greg Magoon, he works on a lot of the Disney and Fox 20th Century Studios premieres and stuff, and he builds props and stuff for the people to walk through the red carpet and things. But if you're not there, you're not getting that. So
So let's rush forward to the end of the movie.
Yes.
Here. We've had our scary moments. We've had our tension. We're pretty much convinced now that Irena does turn into a cat, and Dr. Judd has sort of set himself up.
Yeah.
Because now that's an interesting scene. Slightly earlier, she's meeting with him
Yep.
as patient and psychiatrist, and he says, "So you think if you kiss your husband, you will turn into a cat? What would happen if I were to kiss you?" And he gets real close to her, and oh man, you get these vibes of, oh no, not cool, not cool, right? And
Malpractice. There we go.
and she says something like, "All I know is that I should not like to kiss you," and you think, yeah, okay, back off, man. And he does. He doesn't, at that moment, he doesn't grab her or try to kiss her. But you today's society, you get that strong vibe of, whoa, man, wrong, wrong. And I get that he's trying to prove a point to her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of interesting if you think about how it might have played out, because you have to assume that what triggers her transformation into a cat is arousal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if he tries to kiss her and she's not aroused, she's not going to turn into a cat.
Mm.
Right? So just
ideally.
the act of kissing her isn't what triggers the transformation. And he would have, if that had happened, if he had actually kissed her without consent, and she wouldn't have changed in theory, right? It's just a theory. He would have taken that as proof that she was making it all up. And that would have played into his side of things when even the movie is going, no, she really is. We're close enough to the end of the movie now that maybe they even considered doing something along those lines. But with a 74-minute runtime or so, and you're getting towards the end where the movie has been gradually showing us more and more that she's not just making it up. That would have set things back, I think. But if you think about it, that's a really interesting thought, right?
Yeah.
So now he's hidden his walking stick
right
in the couch. So when they leave her, I guess they live together in that apartment now, right? When they leave, he's like, "Oh, I left my walking stick. Give me the keys." And
they have a plan to like announce the annulment, but she doesn't show up.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So he uses leaving his stick behind as an excuse to go back in so that he can leave the door unlocked, so that he can get back in. And then another couple scenes, and he actually does have an encounter with her where he does take her in his arms and kisses her. And then we get that awesome shot of her face.
Mm-hmm.
And the shot gets darker and darker, and she gets the twinkle in her eye. And we know that this is what we're going to get for a transformation. And then you get the reverse shot, the reaction shot on him, and that his reaction tells you everything you need to know. Then we do see the leopard in the battle where he fights the cat.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see her anymore until Oliver and Alice come back, and she emerges hiding in on the staircase. But he's already been killed, and she's been wounded.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get inside and they see him dead, and they realize that she must be mortally wounded because the cane is the knife, the cane stick, whatever you call it, with the blade, is broken off, and it must be still embedded in her. they realize that they need to find her because she's not going to live much longer, probably.
Yeah.
And at that point, we know that she's a Catwoman. Dr. Judd has been disposed of, and we're barreling towards the last moments of the movie. Now, I think, is it earlier that she takes the keys from the leopard cage?
Yes. It's very
So
early
she's
in the
already
movie.
got them.
She has the
Yeah.
dream where Dr. Judd appears to her as a leader of whatever her tribe
Oh,
would have
right.
been, and tells her to get the
Right.
key. Yeah.
So there's this recurring theme of, does she have a death wish? Because she keeps returning to the leopard cage at the zoo. By the way, I like the zookeeper character. He's fun. Nothing else to do. Nothing else to do. Just a side comment. And then, of course, she opens the cage door. The leopard leaps out, knocks her down, and escapes. The movie takes care of the escaped leopard very quickly by having it get hit by a car right away. Thank goodness we don't have to worry about what happens to the leopard, right? I mean, they could have had a better ending, but and then we get the it's not, yeah, is it the leopard man? Yeah, it's the leopard man later. Anyway, unrelated really, but it's interesting. That whole movie is about an escaped, or based around an escaped
Right.
leopard. So now Oliver and Alice find her. They go to the zoo because that's where they expect to find her, and they do. And Alice says Ollie says she never lied to us. And I think I got it right. I think it's him. And they realize that all along her fears were justified. And Oliver married the wrong person.
Yeah.
But it's a good ending. I think the movie pretty much had to show some kind of life or death struggle with the cat. And Dr. Judd was in no way a throwaway character, but
right.
It seemed to be the right character to meet his end at the hands of the cat Irena. Now, from what I said a few minutes ago about her not getting aroused if Dr. Judd were to kiss her, that would tend to indicate that she does get aroused when he kisses her this time. Maybe it's simply the heat of the moment. Maybe, you don't really know. But if you follow through with my argument, then that must be the case.
Yeah.
Because she does transform in this instance. So those are my thoughts on the ending. What do you think?
Well, maybe the heat of the moment, or the anger also with it, that passion derives it in a vengeance, sort of what her greatest fear was, that it would bring about anger as well. I do, what are the motivations of Dr. Judd? Is he trying to help her? Is he trying to get in there himself? Was he attracted to Irena during this and trying to send Oliver away for his own good? Or was he trying to prove to her, like, look, this is all fake and I'm going to show you? We don't get the time to understand what his motivation was in the moment, but we do know he's kind of a scumbag through this.
Yeah.
So, we don't know, but yeah, it's quite a good ending. Very nice horror movie ending with, there's some sadness, and the holy crap, it was this all the time in such a interesting way. But it does, it's funny that the zoo with the panther is a presence lightly here that Schrader says, let's make it the focus of the remake, because that one's all based around people who work at the zoo and stuff like that. So it's interesting because we don't really know. I think we're briefly told what Oliver does, and that's just what he does. Here's our character. There's no
no real building.
Yeah, it's focused on relationships rather than occupations or what these people are doing. Like I think we see Alice working, right? That's about
Mm.
might be the one of the few people, and I guess Irina is working because she's a designer and drawing when we first meet her and such. But no, it's got a great all comes to a head with Dr. Judd versus Irina thing that I really like, and then just they up the game with that lighting in her eyes and stuff like that's amazing stuff. It's like, well, that's why we love the movies type
Mm-hmm.
moments. But yeah, no, it's a good ending. I don't know. It's like, how do you feel about Oliver and Alice? They gonna go live their life and be fine. But I'm like, were they the greatest of people? Did they treat Irina right? Like, Irina is a not. I mean, I don't want to call her a monster, but she's the sense that misunderstood. This shouldn't be happening to her. She wasn't treated right, but she's the one who ultimately has to meet her doom and cannot continue. Like it's a tragic tale in that way that we see in a lot of things. It's easier to see here than it is to probably see in something like Frankenstein for people in the original movie that the monsters disturb and stuff like that. But right here, it's like, this is a human being. She was causing no harm. She was just crying for help and for someone to believe her this whole time. And this is how it ends up. And then these two people who were close to her in life, just like, oh wow, okay, well that sucks. Let's go. Well, I guess my marriage is over. We can go take care of this. So
I think Alice is a better person than Oliver.
yes,
I think she's more sympathetic. Oliver tries to be, and I get where he's coming from. I'm a very patient person myself,
yeah,
and try to be as understanding as I possibly can. But he strings her along too far.
mm-hmm.
He should have come to a realization much sooner that it wasn't going to work and that they need to talk about it. He shouldn't be sending her to a psychiatrist. They should have both been going to a psychiatrist
Right.
and work out their problem. And he needed to be a party to that. And just the fact that even at the beginning when he's telling her, don't worry about it, I'm good. I'll be very patient and understanding with you. Don't worry, everything will be fine. That's his way of avoiding the issue. Not coming, not. I get it. The first few times, maybe you would do that. Don't worry, everything will be fine. But eventually, not very long, you should realize she's not going to do anything on her own.
Mm-hmm.
And even if she does go to the psychiatrist, again, that wasn't the solution. They needed to both be there and
Right.
work things out. Now, admittedly, she was a cat person, so that wouldn't have worked out so good if they were both in the psychiatrist's office and the psychiatrist told them, well, you need to kiss right now in front of me. Let's see what happens. Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oliver, and again, we get a sequel to this movie. And just as a teaser, I won't go into it too far because we'll have a ton to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
In The Curse of the Cat People, Oliver has married Alice and they have a child. And he's still not an understanding man in that movie.
No.
He thinks he's being good, but he's not. You have to consider not just your own reaction to the situations that you're in, but how other people react to the way you're reacting. And he doesn't do that. He just doesn't.
No. Yeah, he's not. Yeah, I don't come away from this with much for Oliver here.
Yeah.
That's what
I like Ken
Ken Smith.
Ken Smith as an actor. I like everything I see him in. But and he is likable on the surface, but deep down
Mm-hmm.
he's got problems.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And we get like we're Curse of the Cat People is the one that follows this, but our next one is inadvertently becomes a side shoot of this movie because of the success of this movie, and we'll get into that then. But do you have any more on the Cat People?
I guess let's see. I one thing that I find funny is Jack Holt is kind of high build in this movie, but he's the owner of the shipbuilding business where Oliver and Alice work, and we see him in a couple of scenes, and he has some lines. But he was a much bigger star in the 30s. He was a headline star in the 30s,
Yeah.
and in this movie, he barely makes an impression at all. So I find that funny. Let's see. Jane Randolph as Alice is really good, really solid, and proves her character to be far more understanding than Oliver. Maybe not so much, slightly more understanding in this movie, but way more understanding when we get to Curse of the Cat People. I think, the music by Roy Webb is really good. And there's so many behind the scenes people that were in this movie that was just who you get if you were working at RKO, right? If you're making a movie at RKO, you had these people, and some they would rotate sometimes, but what a great team here. And the other thing, I know we talked somewhat about the lighting in this movie. All through the whole movie, the lighting is another star. It's freaking fantastic. What they do with the shadows and darkness and light changing. And the pool scene is the most remarkable because then you get the light changing on the ceiling, and it's so awesome. So those are my I love Cat People, but there are at least probably 2 or 3 other Val Lewton movies that I like more.
There we go.
Compare them to Cat People. So there you go.
I mean, this is the start. Like you'd hope it gets better as they you hope we go up from there, not just like, well, they got off to a start and it's just doing minimal returns. But and I love this. I'm always fascinated with the old studio system where it was just like, okay, what are we doing next? All right, let's do that. Like do this one, set up everybody. It's amazing. Like, sometimes there's just workmen that come in through, and then other times you get Michael Curtiz, who is just amazing. So, but it was just a job. It was your 9 to 5 back then. So very cool stuff. And Jane Randolph, she was probably my most likable person I enjoyed in this movie. I just thought she was just really good with the role, understood the character. It was, there's a confidence in her, both her performance and the character that's like, I appreciate this person for being who they are. They know who they are. There's no, Oliver, it's the opposite of Oliver, Dr. Judd. And then Irina, a sympathetic character, but, having issues too. But she's just in the wrong company. But who is she hanging out with before these people? There's no, like, did she just appear that day? Was she just
right? And she's so friendly. She had to have friends, right? It's not like she's off-putting or anything.
She has
like
to have
that.
a boss or somebody. If she's a like freelance, like she's trying to talk to businesses and people, but we just never know. We just never know. But they didn't. A lot of times didn't think that deeply back in the day, and it's not slight against the movie. That's not the focus of it, but in trying to piece her together, just kind of some questions that come up. But no, I like Cat People too. I think people should check it out. Definitely, it's on the Criterion Channel if you don't collect physical media, but it also has a wonderful Criterion Blu-ray with a good documentary on Val Lewton available, and Steven's holding it up. Great cover, love it. I think that's like a 12-year-old Blu-ray now.
2016.
Oh, 2016. Okay. 10. So there we go. All right. Well, Steven, thank you. Till the next installment of this series, where can people keep up with you?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Stephen Warren Hill. And I DJ on Twitch on Mondays and Fridays, DJ Steve Hill 950.
Okay. Very cool. All right. And I'm on the socials at Brandon4KUHD. Check out the YouTube channel. I also have a Batman 66 series going on, dropping on Mondays to celebrate 60 years of that show, following it week to week as it aired. And then Doctor on Display, the USA Tour, which I worked on, and Star Steven premieres this Friday at Gallifrey 1 in Los Angeles, California. And it will be available on DVD and digital that same day. And also, always remember, fantastic a celebration of fans discovering Doctor Who is out now from Zeppo Publishing and anywhere you can pick up books. When this retrospective picks up, we'll be discussing 1943's I Walked with a Zombie, or should I say Dr. Judd will return and I Walked with a Zombie. Till then, stay film positive.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.